Hi, I'm Tammy Ramos, and welcome to another edition of Advancing Angelo, where we talk all things economic development success here in the city of San Angelo. And today, I'm super excited that we're here with the new president of our Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Steve Elanius.
Very good. You got
Yes.
it. Yeah. My daughter was miscellaneous, and when she got married, I'd never seen someone change their last name so fast. So she
Easy to remember.
Yeah,
Mr.
yeah.
Steve, not Mr. Steve Miscellaneous, Mr. Steve Elanius.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we're super excited to have you here in
Yeah.
San Angelo.
Very excited.
And then, of course, a familiar face, our one and only Mr. Michael Looney.
Thanks for having us today.
Yeah, we're super excited. We've got some fun things that we're going to talk about today. Some things that have been top secret that we've been waiting to discuss. And those things are, Michael, I'm going to let you just take it away. And we're going to talk about all of the things Amazon.
Well, probably the biggest news of 2024 is Amazon. Obviously, a major achievement, major milestone for the San Angelo economy. Really salutes our logistics and supply chain shipping sector of our economy. And so that was a hard-won deal. They were a very good company to work with, though. And I remember talking to one of their site selectors, and they said, well, you don't get to be in our market position by being ugly. And so they were actually really fun to deal with, but it was a very complicated project with a whole lot of moving parts. And we dealt with 11 different departments in 5 different states over a 15-month period. Construction started in May and completed last week.
Last week. Okay, let's look at a few photos of our new Amazon facility. So this is, I believe, some new team members.
It's part of the team from that came in from San Antonio and Maryland.
And Maryland. And then, of course, yours truly in the middle. And this is our facility. This is right here in San Angelo.
That's in the industrial park. That is sitting on a 12-acre lot. It's a hard corner on Venture Drive, so it's right next to Principal Sloan, Principal LED. And it's a 35,000 square foot facility. It's one of Amazon's first brand new ground up, so built from the ground up, RSRs, which stands for Rural Super Rural, which is part of a program they initiated in 2021 called the Wagon Wheel Program. Okay. And the Wagon Wheel Program was an experiment to see if they could create miniaturized fulfillment centers in rural communities and see if it worked, and it has. And so ours has the designation of being one of the first 5 brand new RSRs in the country.
That's amazing, right here in San Angelo. How does that feel walking into the community, one of the biggest projects that we know here in our community to happen? What does that feel like?
Well, obviously, Michael and Mike have done a fantastic job. So they're a great team in terms of making things happen. I refer to Michael Looney as kind of the X factor when it comes to economic development. He has an extensive Rolodex. For those of you who remember what a Rolodex looks like, but his contacts and relationships and how he builds relationships is so critical to the success of what they've had in the past and what they're experiencing today. And so very fortunate to have an opportunity to work with Michael and also with Mike. And then you look at some of the key elements that you have in the community in terms of the transportation, the pro-business attitudes, the public school system, the higher education system, the workforce. You have all those key elements that will make a community success. And I think, and a lot of communities have those elements, but the secret recipe is how you pull that all together. And I think Michael and Mike have been very successful in pulling that together. And I think the future for San Angelo is fantastic. There's a lot of great things that are going to be coming, and there's a lot of great opportunities that are just around the corner.
Yeah, no, we love it. We're super excited. Let's talk a little bit, Michael, about the impact of jobs. Have all those positions been filled? What does that look like?
They have not yet. And to dovetail with what Steve just said, we talk about the future of San Angelo a lot and the progressiveness of the city and the assertiveness of San Angelo's economy on a national and global scale. And I think that was summarized very well and punctuated by having Amazon build a facility in San Angelo. And that was partly because we courted them, but really it was because they made an internal decision in Seattle and Nashville that this was a market that they had studied for over a year, and made the decision that this is a burgeoning city, it's a growing city, and it's where they wanted to put one of their first new proven facilities. So that was really a good milestone for San Angelo. The jobs at it's called the WTX-9 facility. That's what they call it internally, WTX-9. Initial estimates was that they would need about 52 people to run the facility, and they let us know that that's actually going to be closer to 150 people. Right now, they're probably, I'm going to guess, as of today, at about 65 employees, with a target of 100 around the end of the year or sometime in January. And so that's going to be a blend of what they call pickers and sorters,
Yeah.
which is an unofficial term for those who bring the cargoes in off of the heavy freight trucks, sort it, determine where it's going to go, and then you have the management team, accounting team, and then you have the delivery team themselves. And that's about a 50-50 split of uniformed drivers, full-time, in Amazon vehicles, and then about half of them are contract employees, which really are part-timers who usually are people who live 30 to 40 miles outside of the city. They commute in for work, and then in the afternoon or in the evening, they'll go to the facility, be given, say, 10 to 20 packages, and then they'll head back home out of town. And they found that that's a very effective model because their rural deliveries were showing some weaknesses. And what they found is that if they hired people who lived in those communities and were going to commute into the city center anyway, they're able to make some extra money. But they know where everybody lives. They know how to access property. They know all the details that one would only anecdotally know about a small rural kind of a spread out community. And they found that when they experimented with that in 2022, their delivery effectiveness in the rural areas became much more enhanced. So they got better reviews.
Love it. So how exciting for everyone, is beyond even the ones that live in our community. Speaking of growth, so let's go back to that. There's so many more projects in the work for this community. Let's talk about the St. Juanita Skilled Nursing Facility.
Yeah, that's a project that we worked on. We started working on it in 2016. This is a company called RW Senior Care based out of Florida, and they have a department in Tennessee. And they own skilled nursing facilities throughout the United States. They have 8 of them. And they looked at San Angelo. It took them about 5 years to do their studies and to make sure that they were in alignment with what the state regulations were. When you develop something like a skilled nursing facility, you have to have state approvals to do it in order to come into a community. That was all won and approved by DHS, and they were allowed to move forward on that. This is going to be a 52,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility. It's on YMCA Drive, so basically where YMCA intersects with Sunset. And they're going to have approximately 100 jobs initially, and they're going to be hiring. They're already in the interview stages, and they'll be open sometime in May of this year. We like this project because, one, RW Senior Care immediately wanted to know all about Angelo State University and all about Howard College, and so we arranged those meetings. And before they even selected their 8-acre site, they started getting to work with ASU and with Howard College on developing relationships on how they could provide a home for those coming out of the LVN to RN program, and of course the Angelo State University nursing program, which is a nationally recognized nursing program. And so it's going to be a good job creator, career creator, It provides a service that complements the Shannon hospital system very well. In fact, Shannon was very much behind seeing this private provider come into the market to act as a force multiplier to Shannon's very widespread mission.
Yeah, and we recently had some coverage over top occupations in our community, and LVN, RN, those were huge. So I'd love to hear that this is all connecting, especially for those that are considering a new career. So this is awesome. And alongside of that, let's talk about, speaking of careers and top occupations, you recently were at a ribbon cutting at Howard for their new electrical and plumbing training facility. I wanted to get all of that out.
You know, you and I have talked about this at length. Steve and I have talked about this at length, even though he's new here. We're cut from the same cloth. And when we engage, 70% probably of what we work on at the Economic Development Department of the Chamber is supporting existing enterprises. So yes, we recruit new enterprises to San Angelo that fit the community well, that complement our economy, our ecosystem. But we work a lot with our existing incumbent companies. And, you know, naturally enough, you spend enough time with them and you ask them and you find out and you learn, what are those things that you need? Facilities, access, all kinds of different things that they might find to be barriers to expansion. And it almost always comes down to workforce. Well, the best thing that we and our community partners like ASU and Howard College can do, and SAISD, for example, as well, is to create workforce development programs that train people who are interested in the craft, interested in the trades, get proper training, proper certifications, and then can deploy out into the marketplace, whether they want to go outside the state. A lot of them want to stay here in San Angelo, and that's something that you and I've talked about. We see that recurring theme, that what is commonly known as brain drain, meaning we train our youngsters in a multiple number of disciplines and then they leave. What we find through polling is that most of the students that train here want to stay here. And it's very interesting to see how you can talk to a 17-year-old lady or a young man, and they not only want to remain in San Angelo, they want to build the community. So placemaking and community development are really high priorities on rather young people's minds, and that is a blessing to the community. And that's what makes the United States such a great country, is that you have youngsters who are rather patriotic in their belief that they can make a difference in their community, and that's awesome to see.
Yes, and this was actually created by a grant, right, from the Howard College Lowe's Foundation.
Lowe's Foundation, a $400,000 grant, which is a major accomplishment for Howard College. And I have to salute the staff at Howard College and the leadership for taking the initiative and going for it, put their best foot forward. And from what we've been told, the relationship with the Lowe's Foundation and Howard College has been exemplary. And the Lowe's Foundation is very excited about what they're seeing here, because they understand we're somewhat insulated community. So we can't pull feedstock of people wanting to get their qualifications in the trades from nearby cities. We're an island to an extent, and we have to save ourselves.
Yeah.
And they notice that.
And so this facility, this workshop, when can folks start to enroll? I mean, when does that happen?
I'm going to pitch that over to Steve, because he was the guy standing next to the lady who was behind the whole project, Pam Callett.
To hitchhike on what Michael was saying, the Wall Street Journal had an article probably 3 or 4 weeks ago that says the next millionaires in your community are going to be the HVAC, the plumbers, and the electricians, right? And so this program is already up and running. They had the first class, and they're moving into this facility, and it's really designed to be a hands-on, get up close and personal with actually doing it. And so I think it just speaks to the community's efforts in terms of the trades, because that's where it starts, right? And you don't necessarily have to go to a 4-year college now, and go into debt. There's ways to make a very good living very quickly with very little expense. And Howard College is leading that charge and making those type of careers and certifications available to people here locally. And so I think that's a huge advantage for San Angelo. And I think you're going to see that, as Michael was talking about, that relationship as they continue to develop, they're already looking at the next opportunities to do things here.
I love that. And I just want to hit on that again, because I think that that's definitely something that is coming up in these new generations. They are starting to recognize that there are other options outside of just that traditional 4-year, what is it, undecided, undeclared major. There's, there's life in entrepreneurship, there's life in these trades, and you can be very successful, especially in communities like this.
And very wealthy.
Very wealthy, yes.
Try to pay for a plumber over the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
I've had that experience, especially when you move into our freeze season.
Yeah.
So.
It's interesting, Steve, that you mentioned that Wall Street Journal article. That reminded me of a book that was, I think it came out in the late 80s or in the early 90s, called The Millionaire Next Door. Do you remember that book?
Absolutely.
And it was a real groundbreaking book that predicted that the CPAs, the attorneys, the stock traders, the C-suite managers would always exist, but that their careers and the amount of incomes that they are able to earn are heavily tied to external market forces that they don't control. Do you remember the thesis of that book? And that the electrician, the plumber, the landscapers, those are the ones who deal in a more consistent marketplace that's much more predictable and relationship-based, and they're the ones who are becoming, as the book posits, the millionaires next door.
Yeah, those you can't outsource a plumber or electrician or an HVAC person, right? You're not going to lose that to China. You're not going to lose that to another part of the United States. So it's a very, there's great opportunities in those areas.
I love it. And that is the Lowe's Foundation and Home Builders Association of San Angelo workshop at Howard College. Well, thank you both for coming on today and visiting with us about all of the happenings in San Angelo. It's always exciting to hear. We're excited that you're here, Steve. We can't wait to visit with you more. Michael, as always. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode, and we'll see you next time.